Our adventures today have brought us to this establishment in Fountain City, Indiana. It is a stop, or once was a stop, on the Underground Railroad. So we're here in the Levi and Catherine Coffin exhibit, the new part of this area. We have been here before, but this is the first time we've been to this part. It's been around for how long? At least
17 something?
No, I'm talking about the new exhibit. The new exhibit, just a couple of years. The last time we was here, they didn't have it here. And they started us off with watching a movie about Levi Coffin when he was younger and his reactions to seeing slaves. And how he moved from North Carolina to Indiana, where he started helping slaves there and eventually ended up in Cincinnati, where they ran a business and they continued to be part of the Underground Railroad. Inside of this nice theater that they have here, where they have many quotes, one that is, among others, trades. I learned the art of running away to perfection. I made a regular business of it and never gave it up until I had broken the bands of slavery and landed myself safely in Canada, where I was regarded as a man and not as a thing. Henry Bibb. And then on the other side, we actually have a quote from Levi Coffin himself. I had already risked everything in the work, life, property, and reputation, and did not feel bound to respect human laws that came in direct contact with the law of God. Here, let me back up so you can see it. This is a map of the movement of those escaping slavery. And as you can see, there are multiple routes going through Indiana and Ohio. And this is a scene on the wall of the auction block. The auction block was a powerful reminder of slavery's horrors. The image of a Virginia slave sale shows the destruction of the family and disintegration of people's lives under the system of chattel slavery, would define people as property to be bought and sold. For the enslaved, fear of being sold could be a catalyst for seeking freedom or a deterrent to running away. And then there's a quote over here on the wall. Slavery is a system that tears the husband from the wife and the wife from the husband, that tears the child from the mother and the sister from the brother. Slavery is a system that has its bloodhounds, its chains, its Negro whips, its dungeons, and almost every instrument of cruelty. William Wells Brown. Just above the water fountains is a quote from Frederick Douglass. No man can tell the intense agony which is felt by the slaves when wavering on the point of making his escape. The life which he has may be lost, and the liberty which he seeks may not be gained. We have a timeline for Levi and Catherine Coffin, where it shows in 1787, the Northwest Ordinance declares neither slavery nor involuntary servitude will be permitted in the newly formed territories. 1793, the first Fugitive Slave Act passes. Congress enables the arrest of seizure of those fleeing slavery. Levi Coffin is born in New Garden, Guilford County, North Carolina. 1800 to 1819, Coffin's family teach him and his sister at home. As a child in North Carolina, Levi saw enslaved people chained together and steered by a man with a long whip. They would greatly influence his life. In 1803, Catherine White Coffin is born in North Carolina. Her father, Stanton White, is an active abolitionist. In 1808, the United States abolished the transatlantic slave trade. 1816, the Indiana Constitution prohibits slavery. Even though it prohibits slavery, it did have laws against those who were trying to help those who were escaping slavery. 1821, Levi and his cousin, Vestal Coffin, organized a Sabbath school for the enslaved in Guilford County, North Carolina. 1824, Levi Coffin marries Catherine on his birthday, October 28th. Levi and Catherine Coffin moved to Newport, Indiana, joining his family in what is now Fountain City. 1844, around 1844, Coffin commits to buying and selling free labor not made with slave labor in his business. Coffin travels to Philadelphia and New York to purchase free labor products. Coffin, in the company of fellow abolitionists and Underground Railroad worker William Beard, makes his first trip to Canada to visit free settlements. 1846, Salem, Indiana is the site of a free labor convention. Attendees resolved to help establish a free labor wholesale business in Cincinnati. The Coffins rent their house and move to Cincinnati to run a newly established wholesale store selling products made without slave labor in 1847. In 1849, Levi Coffin travels through the South looking for goods for his store, visiting free labor neighborhoods in Hardin and McNairy counties, Tennessee, and Tishomingo County, Mississippi. 1850, 5 laws are enacted as the Compromise of 1850 to accommodate the entry of California as a free state and maintain an equal number of slaves, or of free and slave states. 1851, the Second Indiana Constitution declares no Negroes or Mula shall come into or settle in the state after the adoption of the Constitution. 1854, Congress passes the Kansas-Nebraska Act, establishing that the residents of each territory will decide whether to permit slavery in their state. 1856, Levi Coffin sells his Cincinnati store. 1857, hoping to end the slavery debate, the Supreme Court issues the Dred Scott decision. Following a 10-year legal fight, the court declares that crossing a state line does not change the condition of slavery. Black people are not citizens, and they can never expect rights of citizens in the United States. 1859. On October 16, John Brown and his men attack Harper's Ferry, a federal arsenal in Virginia. He plans to arm enslaved men and start a slave revolt. Ultimately, he fails when Colonel Robert E. Lee marches on the town and crushes the rebellion. 1861, the Civil War begins. 1863, Coffin works with the Western Freedmen's Aid Commission to provide bedding, clothing, and money to aid ex-slaves to the South. Also in 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation goes into effect on January 1st, declaring that all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States shall be then thenceforward and forever free. 1865, the Civil War ends. The ratification of the 13th Amendment ends legal slavery. 1868, the ratification of the 14th Amendment grants citizenship and equal protection to all persons born or naturalized in the United States. 1870, the 15th Amendment is ratified. It states that the right of all citizens to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. 1876, Coffin publishes his autobiography, Remnants of Levi Coffin, which he has been writing for several years. 1877, Levi Coffin dies, and in 1881, Catherine Coffin dies. So, like I said, this is the first time that we've actually been to this exhibit, and it's very impressive. A lot of information on those escaping slavery and Levi and Catherine Coffin on how they helped them out and how they continued to do what they could do to help those out that was escaping slavery. Here, this is a graph showing the total numbers of slaves that were living in the United States and how it increased from 1790 of 697,624 slaves all the way to 1860, where it went all the way up to 3,953,760 slaves in the United States. This here is the deck of a slave ship. Captured Africans suffered a terrifying transatlantic voyage crammed into ships to maximize profit by traders who refused to recognize them as human beings, as shown in this famous image from the slave trade. Although the United States abolished the international slave trade in 1808, slaves were regularly bought and sold between states. As you can see how they were just crammed into these ships. This is a cotton bale. They want you to see how much a cotton bale weighs. So I'm going to go ahead and pull and try and see if I can lift it. It's pretty heavy. Slaves were used to move cotton, and they were also used to pick cotton. And even though cotton is soft and fluffy, it's surrounded by prickly thorns. We are now going to enter the Levi and Catherine Coffin house. Okay, from this point on, I'm going to be talking over the video because at that time, there was a lot going on and the audio wasn't very good in here. So the door we came in through was the door that those escaping slavery would normally come in through, and that usually it was in the middle of the night. This is the dining room here. So, and they have shackles over there and stuff that's been donated, and there's stuff that was from the coffins themselves, like the I think the plates that were up above, and here would be the table. All right, and this is the parlor. This would be the parlor for the coffin house, and everything here, most of it was not owned by the coffin. It was donated by people from Fountain City to put into the house because all the coffins had moved to Cincinnati. All right, now this is a bedroom upstairs, and it has a slant to it, and it does have a hidden compartment, and I will go in and show you inside the hidden compartment. And what they would do is, there was bounty hunters looking for slaves. They would put them into this hidden compartment, and they would slide the bed over to hide that. So if they ever did come in searching for slaves, they wouldn't be able to see the entrance to this hidden area. All right, now this is the master bedroom. This would be the bedroom for Levi and Catherine. And what was different for this day was houses didn't have closets in it, but this house did have closets. And it was just kind of something that was different for that time. All right, so this is another bedroom, and that water basin is the oldest thing in there. It was brought by the Coffin family from across Europe. And as you can see, it's a regular bedroom. All right, this is a kitchen. The kitchen is in the basement, and it had a brick floor. Most kitchens during that time that were down there like that would just have a wood floor, but they had a brick floor, and they had it down there so because they had so many people, there was an area where they could kind of conceal a lot of people, especially had a lot of people to feed. This is the backyard. This is us walking out to the barn. If you would look over the fence, you would see the Pizza King, and that's where Levi Coffin's store was. Now, this is where the video is going to end because I'm leaving more for you to see. So we finished our tour of the Levi and Catherine Coffin exhibit and house, and we learned lots of things. There's stuff here that we did leave out because we do want you to come and experience yourself. And basically, what did you think?
I think everybody should visit at least one time.
So it's a great part of the history of this area, and it's very interesting to learn. There's lots of stuff to see, and a lot of storytelling. I left the storytelling out, so because that's a lot of part of it. But as part of that, and with all the traffic, we hope to catch you on our next adventure.